Hello, Graham from Arion Games here, and today I'm going to be working through the dungeon generator system from Advanced Fighting Fantasy 2nd edition. I originally included it in the one I wrote many years ago, 30 something years ago, and this will enable you to generate a very quick Advanced Fighting Fantasy dungeon, and indeed for any game, with just a handful of D6s, piece of paper, pencil, and the core rulebook. So the first thing you have to do is lay your paper down, drop your dice on the paper. Now, because I haven't got a box lid, a couple of them will come off, so I'm just going to re-roll those. Let's see if I can. There we go. And all you do is you draw around each dice individually and note the number you rolled. 1, 2, 2, 3, 1. Lots of low numbers there. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to quickly scan that in and put that on the page. Okay. So now we have our basic layout of rooms. Now before we go any further, I'm going to add a couple of extra points. So we roll 2 dice and we find out what the mission is. And that's an 8, pretty average. Rescue village hostages. So we'll add that to our paper. Village hostages. Pretty classic fantasy and indeed Western trope. 1d6. That's a roll of a 1, so we're in the mountains. And a roll of a 1d6, and this is rough-hewn caves. So we're going in some rough-hewn caves in the mountains to rescue some hostages taken from a village. It's quite straightforward. Now what we've got to do is we've got to add exits to our room. To our rooms that we've got on our map here. So any 1s and 2s have 1 exit coming from them. Okay, there's quite a lot. All of those, in fact, bar 1, have 1 exit coming from them. So I've drawn those on. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add that updated image to the video. Okay, so we have our exits. Now obviously at this stage there's a whole load of different ways that you can join these exits together. Now because we've got lots of 1-room exits, what I'm going to do, I'm going to join the top 2 or top and the left hand one together, and I'm going to join the bottom one with 2 up with the one with 3. Then what I can do is, because we ideally want to join room to room, now if I joined the other 3 exit to one of the other rooms with only 1 exit, they wouldn't have any connection to the rest of the dungeon. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to join in like that. Right, let's add that to the screen. Okay, so we have our rooms now joined together and our corridors. So the next job, take an eraser, and I'm going to start with the room at the very top being our entrance, so that is indeed room number 1. We can go for the one that connects to it as number 2 and indeed number 3, so that means don't have to rub any of those out. We can make that one number 4, 5 and 6. So now we can see if there's anything strange in any of those rooms. We can use 1 dice. We'll do room number 1, 3, nothing. Room number 2, 4, nothing. Room number 3 is a roll of 2, nothing. Room number 4 is a 5, so that's a trap. So we'll put that by there. Room number 5 is a 3, which is nothing. Room number 6, 3, which is nothing. So we've got 1 trap in our 6 rooms. If I'd rolled a 6, it would have been another feature, like it could have been a kitchen or a strange formation or a magical event. Now what I need to do is add some monsters. This is a starting dungeon for starting characters, so I'm going to go for dungeon level 1 using the table in the book. 3d6. Room number 1. I'm going to put a monster in rooms 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5 and 6. I'm not going to worry about 4 because it's got a trap in. I'm not going to worry about 1. It's the entrance chamber. So 3, 6, 4 and 2. That's a total of a 12. We have giant rat. So room 2, giant rat. Room number 3, 4, 3 and 1 is zombie. Room 4 is a trap. Room 5 is a 1, 1 and 3. So that's 5, which is a warrior clone. And room 6, I'm going to use dungeon level 2 because that's the boss who's holding these villagers captive. 4, 5 and 3 is a 12, which is a skeleton warrior. Now you could use the number appearing from out of the pit to generate how many are in each room. You could equally just do it based on the number of characters you have. So if I was running this for my group, we've got 4 players, 4 characters. I'm going to put 4 giant rats, 3 zombies, 3 warrior clones and 1 skeleton warrior at the end. Okay. Then what we would do is we would add whatever treasure. Now again, you can use treasure tables, you can put it in. I'm going to have just 1 roll on the treasure table from the core rulebook, which I just need to find back here. For the warriors, for the skeleton warrior at the end. So coins is a roll of an 11. That's 2d6 times 10 gold pieces. 60 gold pieces. Treasure, other treasure is a 4 and a 6. That's a 10. Treasure worth 1d6 times 10. Treasure worth 10 gold pieces. Maybe a gem or something like that. And any magical items? No. So not a huge reward, 70 gold pieces, but obviously they may well get a reward for completing the mission. So I will put that one in now. Okay, so I've added that image to the video, and you can now see we've got an entrance room which leads to a corridor with a T-junction in it, with 4 giant rats in one room, 3 zombies in another. Corridor leads on with a side turning with a trap in one room, say a pit trap, 3 warrior clones in another room, and if they follow all the way around they get to a skeleton warrior. So like a fighting fantasy book, there is an easy way through. You turn left at the first T-junction, fight 3 zombies on, you go and you fight a skeleton warrior. It's only a short dungeon, it's only a 6-room dungeon. I could of course have dropped 10 dice, 12 dice, however many I wanted, which would have made a more complex and longer dungeon. But if I was going to play through this session now, that is really all I need, because I can add the description of what's in the caves. There's a whole load of resources out there to randomize this sort of thing, but I can make it up. I can talk about the dripping water and the glowing fungi and so on and so forth. I can work out why the skeleton warriors stolen these people. It doesn't take an awful lot to then fill in the gaps. Now, of course, what you can also do is you can also use a proper mapping program to turn this into a proper dungeon map, and that is what I will quickly do now. Okay, so here we have the finished map. So we have the entrance at the top with a ladder down. I haven't put any doors on this one. It was just a quick draw of a dungeon map. I've got a cage in the final room with a skeleton slumped on a stone seat. Got a summoning circle. I'm intending to have the warrior clones appear when someone steps into the room, and so on. So we can add dungeon dressing, we can add descriptions, we can add specifics and so on. But in terms of the bare basics of the adventure, that's it, it's done. Now, of course, I know that some of you are probably thinking, but where's the rationale for this dungeon? How did it get here? Who created? And so on. Well, that's fine. You know, why are there warrior clones and rats? What do the rats feed on? This is fighting fantasy, and one of the things about fighting fantasy is the dungeons don't always make sense. Now, that's probably it probably sounds like quite a rude thing to say, but they don't always make sense, and to be honest, they don't always have to. I'm, you know, perfectly happy to create dungeons where everything does make rational sense, but sometimes it's good to just go with it, chuck a load of things in, and have a bit of fun. So this dungeon creator can be used in many different ways. I've heard of people replacing D6s with, say, a D8 or a D10 or a D12, so you have up to 2, 3, 4, 5 exits from a room, so you've got almost like a junction room. You could obviously expand the special items, you could expand the traps table, you could expand the monster tables, and so on. You can use Beyond the Pit and Return to the Pit. You can expand this with other books and other tables of your own creating to make different dungeons, different adventures very quickly. So until next time, good gaming.